All right, the first thing we're going to talk about is a tourniquet. We use a tourniquet to control massive bleeding. Not just a little scrape or oozy blood, but a big uncontrolled bleed that we really have to stop to save a person's life. So for a tourniquet, we always want to place it high and tight. High and tight because your arteries come from your shoulder and split down here. Your brachial artery comes close to your bone right here. So we have one artery and one bone. So we can squeeze that artery against the bone. The same thing for the femoral artery. Splits off and descends right here. I have one bone and one artery. So no matter where the injury is, if it's far down on the leg, I still want to put the tourniquet high and tight. So if Adeline was riding a bike having a great time and somehow had a massive bleed on her lower leg, no matter where it is, I'm going to come high and tight. So I'll get my Warrior Kid Medic bandage, and I'm going to pull it up high and tight across her thigh. And when I say high and tight, it needs to still be perpendicular to the thigh. It can't be so high that you're coming up at an angle or it's going to slip down. So then we just tie a simple knot and pull tight. A little pro tip, if you're having trouble with the knot slipping, we can always just run it through one more time, and it tends to hold a little bit better. Not necessary, but it can be helpful. So that should have already compressed the artery a little bit and at least slowed the bleed. But to really stop the bleed, we need what's called a windlass. A windlass is any rigid object that I can place here and twist to get more pressure circumferentially on the leg to squeeze the artery. For in nature, it's a stick. I always have a pin with me. If we're at home, it might be a spatula, a spoon, or a pair of scissors. Anything will work. And even though she's hurt, she's still in the fight. She can still help. I'm like, can you hold this right here? Place the windlass up on top of the knot and tie one more simple knot over it. And then I've taken care to place my knot in a place where I can work with it. If I were to place the knot in the middle of the leg, I wouldn't be able to twist it. So I want that knot to be more on the outside of the leg. And then I can just twist. And I know when to stop twisting when the bleeding has stopped. If it hasn't stopped, even though it may be hurting her, I need to twist a little bit more to get the bleeding controlled. So once the bleeding is controlled, I can stop twisting, right? It's gonna hurt a little bit, but we're here to save a life. And then I need to secure this windlass. So again, she's still in the fight. So I can say, hold this. She can hold it. Now I can use the rest of my tails to wrap around and secure that windlass, or I can use anything else. It could be a piece of string, shoestring, another Warrior Kid Medic bandage, and I can wrap it around that windlass and secure it in place. So now I've got the bleeding controlled, the windlass secured, and I'm ready to move towards safety. This is where we think 911, ambulance, hospital. A rule of thumb with tourniquets is that because you're completely cutting off circulation to the lower limb, you could damage tissues, arteries, veins, nerves. So we have about 6 hours. After the 6 hour point is when you need to consider loosening up the tourniquet because you could damage the tissues further on. If you're close to a hospital, we don't much have to worry about it. But if you're way deep out in the woods, the way to combat that is we'll bandage the wound and we can loosen up the windlass just a little bit. If the bleeding proceeds, we have to tighten it back up. But if the bleeding's already stopped, I can loosen it up and save that limb if it's gone beyond 6 hours by recirculating blood to the lower limb. That's your simple tourniquet. It's a Warrior Kid Medic bandage. Good job.